Norland, so anytime you want to go ahead.
Well, Robert, you asked me to come up with a story from my childhood, and an interesting one that I probably told you before is about a Bible camp I went to. It was a winter retreat, probably in 1964, possibly 1965, to Spicer, Minnesota, Green Lake Bible Camp. And there were a bunch of us from Bethlehem Lutheran Church in Mankato that went up there. I think it was seventh and eighth graders, and we were at this camp and had meals together, and there were some prayer study groups and Bible discussions and life discussions. And as kind of a reward to us, one evening on the weekend when we were up there, uh, they'd arranged for us to go for a horse-drawn sleigh ride out on the frozen lake. And so we all piled on there. There were bales of hay that we all snuggled into, and it was kind of a light snowfall coming down. And so we get out onto the lake. There's a team of horses pulling us, and that light snowfall got heavier and heavier and heavier until the man with his team of horses couldn't see more than 10 feet in front of him. And pretty soon we were driving along, and this man admitted that he was kind of worried because he didn't know how to get back home again. And the girls started crying, and they thought we were stranded out there and we're going to get frozen to death. And I had recently read a book that had said that horses kind of have a gyroscope in their head, and they can tell where their barn is, and if you give them free rein, that they'll just go back to where their barn is and they'll go home. And I told this to the man driving the horses, and what other choice did we have? We didn't really have one. So he said, well, we'll give it a try. And sure enough, the horses trotted us right straight back across the lake, with 10-foot visibility and the white snowflakes swirling around. Took us right back to the barn, and you couldn't see the house or the school bus that we'd come there in. For love nor money, but he knew which direction the house was, and so we all got ushered to the house and had hot cocoa, and I think they popped some popcorn, and we waited patiently until probably 3-4 o'clock in the morning when the snow finally let up, and then we loaded on the bus and were taken back to the Bible camp. But I felt really good that I was the one that was able to come up with a solution, and the value was in that I'd read a book, and I learned something from that book, and it paid off dividends. And I'm sure other experiences in my life have paid off the same kind of dividends, but this one was probably the most interesting one, and the most dangerous one potentially, for being stranded out there. So that's my story, and it's true.
What year did you say that was?
64, possibly 65. I would have been in seventh or eighth grade. Probably it was 64, I'm guessing. Probably around 13 or 14 years old.
Do you have any stories about your horse that you want to tell? Anything else you want to say?
Uh, that's. I thought of an unpleasant story about some high school bullies, and I think I'm going to pass on telling that one. So, uh,
Come on.
and then there's a story about licking the frozen post and having my tongue. I have to pour hot water on it. That's a pretty short story. And other than in January 4th of 1963, I got my first pair of glasses, and I'd always done poorly in high school or in elementary school games, kickball and things like that, because little did I know I had an astigmatism, plus I needed glasses. And I was able to apparently see the billboard or the blackboard well enough that I didn't need them, but that's the day I got my glasses, and I remember being so astonished because I'd been able to recognize friends by their body shapes instead of by their identity when they were like 30, 40, 50 feet away. So that was a pretty interesting day, and that's why I remember that exact date. When I got those glasses and started wearing them, it was a big surprise.
Did your performance improve in sports?
By that point in time, it was kind of too late. I went out for sports gymnastics in high school or in junior high school, and track in junior high school, where the astigmatism probably didn't affect me so badly. And then I was in 8th grade. I was the basketball team manager, where I kept charge or was in charge of the scorebook and recording fouls and baskets made and so forth at the games, and then made sure the balls were inflated and everybody had their towel and all that stuff. But that wasn't too exciting a job, so I didn't continue with that the next year. So that's about all I have for you. It's better to get those stories, on the spur of the moment when something occurs that triggers the memory.
Yeah. So, what are you doing out here in
Well,
California?
today is closing fast. It's June 30th, 2008, and Gail and Roger Norland have been out in Thousand Oaks, California, visiting their dear sweet little grandson, Timothy, and son Robert and daughter-in-law Katie at their home, and seeing the local sights, chowing down, hit the beach, and checked out Bob's Big Burger, or
Bob's Big Boy.
Bob's Big Boy, and went to the Western Museum, Gene Autry's sponsored facility, and found some interesting displays there, including a horse saddle that had so much silver and gold and brass on it that I pitied the poor horse that had to have it thrown on his back. So that's the end of my story. It's time to go tuck in. Good night.